What's going on, dudes? We'll go live here in a minute. Hopefully a couple of you guys join me. All right. Hope everyone is doing well today. That was one of my favorite tracks ever, Miss Kalani with her track Distraction, which so happens to be the topic of conversation today, distractions, right? Which I'm excited about. This is my first time ever going live on Instagram with the Black Cactus audience. So thank you for watching this video. If you're joining live or watching the replay, super excited to have you here.
To the screen, to the laptop. Must be the New York book.
This is the first time we've met. My name is Terrence Latimer. I am the owner-operator of Black Cactus Co-working. Besides that, though, I am an entrepreneur. I am a creative. I'm a writer. I'm a son. I'm a brother. All sorts of good stuff, right? But yeah, I'm just a normal guy, and super excited to, continue to use this platform in order to develop better relationships with you here on Instagram, and ideally welcome you into the Black Cactus community, right? And that really is my goal for all of you here, whether you're a follower or somebody that is just just catching the replay. Black Cactus is a shared office space or co-working space based in downtown 29 Palms. I would say that our sweet spot is that we love other creatives like the great Kalani over here, who have so much passion and heart and artistry, but perhaps need the community and the accountability of a community, right, to help them get out their wildest dreams. And so some of that is in the form of who are the collaborators that we can work with that are capable of helping us get out our great art, right? And so sometimes, those are other creatives. More often than not, it includes, fellow business people and other professionals that ideally can help you get to your next milestone. So in addition to offering co-working space, Black Cactus offers business services, technology services, and then we have monthly events, right? And the events really are just your opportunity to come out, hang out, learn a little bit more about what it is that we have to offer, but then also some ways that your community can help keep you on point, help keep you accountable, for your goals and the things that you're interested in achieving, which is why we're here. This is going to be a really short video. This has been on my heart for a couple days, but I've just been mindful of the consequences of distractions. Particularly if you are a big dreamer, who sometimes maybe gets off your path based off of a shiny new object. If you've got shiny new object syndrome like me, sometimes the consequences of that are that, maybe you feel like you're stuck or you're going in a circle and you're not getting anywhere, right? Which is not what I want for you. My goal is for your goals to be achievable and that you have the wherewithal, the capacity, the capability to navigate your path in order to achieve those mountaintop goals that you're interested in, right? And if we remember that old saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. Sometimes it's a little bit slower going with others, but some of the inherent value that Black Cactus is looking to, communicate to you, or that, we want you to feel, is how important it is to have other people to go with, right, on your journey to success, so that they can help you maybe see some of your blind spots, right? And that's, one of the first things that I would just even, comment on, as we get into this talk. I would just argue that, there's a little bit of a balance between distractions and addressing things that you actually need to do in order to, move on to the next step of the process, right? And so, not all distractions are bad distractions. I would just invite you to explore your relationship with distractions, to be mindful of, are they the positive sort of distractions that are like, oh yeah, hey, maybe I didn't actually think about that thing and I need to address that. So it's not a distraction. It's not the main thing that I want to do, but I needed to complete this step before I can move over here, right? Like, well, that's good. Let's do more of those, right? Versus, hey, this is really tough and I don't think I'm gonna do it anymore. Or, oh man, I know I said I was gonna do that, but that over here looks really enticing. And so I think I'm gonna go do that instead. I think the latter, those last two examples, more often than not, they make you feel like you are stuck. And I don't want you to be stuck. I want you to knock out your goals out of the park, right? And so, and so I was just reading this morning. Again, I've been continuing to think about just this concept of distractions and, what the cost of distractions are, right? And that's so much of, just where I'm at is understanding and measuring the consequences of bad decisions. Now, the way that I reconcile with that is that, bad decisions are learning opportunities, right? And so I try not to see everything or any losses as true losses if I, can be intentional about learning what needs to be learned, a right lesson. And that can be either, professionally or my personal life, it could be at work, at the grocery store, right? And so if we're just mindful of, some examples that I appreciate of people that are distraction free, again, we started out with Kalani. Kalani is, just such an amazing artist. I appreciate her work ethic and, what appears to me to be a commitment to quality, which, quality takes time, right? And, if I can just be mindful of, your own relationship with distractions, it's, sometimes the cheap and easy stuff, it's not nearly as rewarding as taking your time with something and not allowing distractions to hick you up or to get you off track, right? And so, Kalani's attitude to me is super appealing. And I think it's indicative of someone who has established proper boundaries and borders, right? And so I was having this conversation with a friend the other day, related to just like the business of creativity. And Eminem, who just recently released an album, apparently is notorious for treating his recording schedule like a job, right? Like he wakes up in the morning, goes to the recording studio at 9, clocks out for lunch at 12, and then, comes back and finishes his day. And when people want to like record with him after those hours or outside of those hours, like, as I understand it, it either doesn't happen or it's like a little bit tricky. Eminem doesn't really want, And so that to me is an example of somebody enforcing proper boundaries and borders related to their job. And so much of that is, of distractions, sort of choosing and understanding which distractions you are inviting into your life, right? And so, some of that, again, just in my opinion, is having the structure and the organization for you to, know what you're doing or what you need to do. And so some of that, in my opinion, comes in the form of understanding your practice. And so, and part of my practice, if I'm being honest with you all, is going live on social media, right? I've got like my whole content calendar, and I break down my content calendar based off of my goals for the year. That backs into my goals for the quarter, and that then breaks down into the deliverables, the projects, the tasks, and the people that I need to work with on a monthly, weekly, daily, and then even hourly basis, right? And so every Friday in Black Cactus's Facebook group, our private Facebook community for you all, right, I go live on Fridays. And that is based off of a topic that I announced on either Sunday or Monday, and each day of the week, right? We're getting closer towards the end of the story, and then boom, I go live on Friday, right? And so even when, so this is a new process. Some other examples of that are on my LinkedIn. I release a newsletter every other week, right? Like, and for example, this week I'm late. I'm actually 3 days behind now, and so I'm working my tail off in order to, get that last post out, right? Because I know I'm late, and just because I'm late this time doesn't mean that it changes the schedule, right? I'm still responsible for another newsletter in, 11 days now, right? And so much of, my encouragement to you, this is what we discussed yesterday in our Facebook community, is the importance of protecting your team. And your team is an acronym for your time, your energy, your attention, and your money, right? And I truly believe that typically we have 3 of those resources at any given time, and we're trying to get, more of the 4th. But, we can talk about that like here in a bit. So, real quickly, just, if you are catching the replay or, you're watching live, like drop a comment in the chat. What are some of your biggest distractions? And then if you can do some quick math, like, right, what are the consequences of that, right? What are the consequences of your distractions, from some sort of like numerical perspective? Is it costing you money? Is it costing you hours, right? What are the consequences of your distractions, and what are some of those distractions? And, hopefully you've had some time to think about that, because, I think the next level of, understanding your team, that acronym of your time, your energy, your attention, and your money, well, typically that's sort of indicative or representative of, like your collaborators, right? Whether they're your teammates or your partners or your customers, your clients, right? And so if you're not protecting your team, right, are you protecting everyone else's team? Because if you're not, right, that doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good like if you are wasting my time or if you're wasting my money or my energy or my attention, right? And so, the other side of recognizing, distractions is being mindful of when you are a distraction to someone else. And there is a certain healthy level of personal scrutiny that I believe, we should all consider from a product perspective and a service perspective. Does our value meet the level of our customers' expectations, right? Because if we are too expensive, right, for our customers' value, that to me is a value misalignment, right? And so if your customers feel like, well, hey, I didn't really get like, my bang wasn't worth my buck, or they feel like they could have received the same sort of value elsewhere, or that you had said that you could do something that you couldn't actually do, right? Well, that then has an opportunity to impact your respect and reputation, which is something that we talked about again, a couple weeks ago on our Facebook group, right? Which is understanding, personal levels of respect, and then how that translates into reputation management using platforms like Yelp and Google and Facebook reviews. Also, sidebar, Black Cactus would love a review, right? And so, certainly, and we can talk about some of this later in the conversation, but your reviews are an opportunity for us to learn what we're doing really well and what we need to scale up on, right? But then it also allows us to understand what we're not doing so well. So please, feel free to navigate over to Google Maps, search for Black Cactus Co-working, and slide us a review. That allows us to improve our business and narrows in on the scope of things that we should be doing, right? Because, we're just a small team. And so sometimes we think that we are understanding your wants, needs, and desires, right? And we're actually not interpreting them correctly. And we want your help in order to avoid distractions in the same way that we want to help you avoid distractions. Which, I'm coming live from the Black Cactus Co-working technology-enabled conference room, which is available for rent, on an hourly, daily, weekly, and monthly basis, right? And so this then becomes an opportunity for you to work distraction-free as a member of the Black Cactus Co-working. And, whether or not you are taking part of our virtual membership, one of our hot desk passes, or one of our dedicated desks, the technology-enabled conference room is just a great place or opportunity for you to insulate yourself for a couple hours of deep work, to, maybe go live like I'm doing right now, or to perhaps host a meeting in here, right? And that is, in my opinion, some of the beauty of working with and at a co-working space, is that you have the ability to sort of minimize the distractions of, working from home when you got kids around, or working from Starbucks with all like the noise and all the goofy people and all that sort of stuff, right? And so, so just continuing to just elaborate that, my goal for you is to be mindful of the consequences, the cost of distractions on how you get work done, right? And you can apply a lot of this same thinking at your, if you're not in a place where you are working remotely or in a hybrid environment, you can apply this sort of thinking and methodology to, working at an office, right? I think it's really just about the discipline of how you have a relationship with your work versus the relationship that you have with others, right? And, sometimes even your colleagues and your teammates, they will hijack your time, your energy, and your attention, right? Which then perhaps impacts your bottom line, because you're not properly able to communicate your borders, your boundaries, and you're doing other people's work in addition to having to do your own, right? And so, my goal again is for you to really understand what the task at hand is. What are you focused on? And the article that I read, that I hopefully mentioned to you earlier, just, sort of talks about, it's a Psychology Today article, but it discusses the consequences of distractions. And, again, just bare minimum, right? Like, distraction impacts your work performance. You're like having an email or whatever, and somebody comes in your office and you're like, oh yeah, okay, I've got to shift my frame of mind to this person and then try to figure out how to get back to, where you were before, right? So there is, distractions impact the way that you get work done. And that was the next thing that I read. Distraction reduces your capacity for deep thought, right? And we don't always want to be in deep thought, but if you are in deep thought and someone distracts you or something distracts you, that's something to be mindful of, right? And then lastly, I thought that this was, I couldn't believe this one. And I'm not sure that you will either. But, distraction, it's proven, does weaken relationships, right? And so if you imagine like having a conversation with someone and they're not engaged with you or doesn't feel like you're being listened to or heard or felt, et cetera, right? Well, like that impacts someone's ability to trust you, to know you, to like you, and to love you, right? And, when it comes to collaborating and working together, it all boils down to relationships, right? And I would suppose that we're coming full circle to how we even started this conversation. It's, people respect others that treat, their resources, their time, their energy, their attention, and their money responsibly. And they really appreciate when you treat their resources in the same manner that you treat yours, right? Ideally from a place of healthy love and respect. And so, when we consider our customers and our team, is that these are relationships that must be maintained. Like, we must maintain our relationships or we don't, right? And sometimes teammates decide they want to leave. Sometimes a teammate is a distraction and we have to let them go, right? Sometimes, your relationship to your time, your energy, your attention, and your money, in my opinion, is a direct reflection of your relationship with others and the way that you think of their own resources, right? And so, reputation management and asking people for feedback and reviews is a great way to help us maintain relationships. It provides an opportunity for people to seek us out and have conversations that are maybe difficult to have, or even opportunities to like give you shine and to love on you for something that you're doing really well, right? Now, if we're, just being mindful of, not all feedback is created equal. And, again, if we're then being mindful of distractions and having like little bees in your head, right? I think want to be careful that we are not soliciting feedback from the wrong places or the wrong sources, right? We don't want to solicit feedback from people. Well, I take that back. We don't want to solicit feedback all the time from people whose opinions we don't care about. But, if you are being neutral, part of it is understanding the importance of being able to listen to people whose opinion you don't agree with, right? And that, gives you the opportunity to update your opinion. That being said, if it feels like you are unable to learn that lesson in real time, right, which is being able to listen to someone who you absolutely just like don't agree with or whose opinion you don't care about, I do think that it is an important practice to be able to listen to the right sort of feedback, right? The feedback that empowers you, that allows you to get better, versus the feedback that is tearing you down and, causes you all sorts of like internal chaos and isn't allowing you to actually grow, right? So again, it's a combination, in my opinion, of critical thinking as well as, a sort of merciless response to, accepting feedback, right? And Pharrell had this really great, there was this viral video that went live that made its rounds a couple months ago, related to an artist. He was just telling this artist, he's like totally hyping him up. It was at a party. It felt like the guy was bummed out. I don't know, but that's what it appeared. It appeared like he was bummed out. And Pharrell was like, had him like right here in the face and was like, yo, dude, if someone comes at you and tells you that you need to correct something, don't take it personal. He's like, correct it, but don't take it personal, which, again, it's if you don't have that capacity to, not take it personally, perhaps it is a distraction, right? You need to work on that thing that allows you to take feedback more critically. So let's focus on those really important relationships. And I want you to separate out your wants versus your needs, right? And that is a whole other process that we can get into later. But separating out your wants versus your needs is a great way to determine your borders, your boundaries, and opportunities for you to figure out better relationships, right? With your customers, with your collaborators, and with your team. So some great tips and tools for communicating your boundaries with customers come in the form of some deliverables, right? And this is language that you can work on. I want you to think about it. These come in the form of frequently asked questions, trainings and tutorials. You can create a system for accepting customer support tickets. And then also, like I mentioned, soliciting and seeking customer feedback, right? These are all opportunities, or these are tools to have and maintain lines of communication with your customers, which are an opportunity to reinforce those relationships, but they are tools that sort of trickle the flow of information based off of the systems that you have developed, right? So versus someone like tapping you on the shoulder and saying, hey, you know what you can do better, right? And you having to figure out like what to prioritize, and before you know it, it just becomes a distraction. It becomes these tools, frequently asked questions, trainings and tutorials, customer support tickets, and reviews, right, are all opportunities for us to be able to bring in that information, that feedback into our system, to understand it, to ask additional questions, and then to prioritize, right? So that's my hope for you, is that you can communicate your boundaries mindful of your desire to avoid distractions, because distractions are costly. And the ultimate judgment for you is your ability and willingness to pick up on the least obvious answers, in my opinion. But at the same time, it's important to make yourself scarce. Kalani just said it, like there's all these distractions out here. If you want to be a distraction, that's cool, but we on a grind, y'all. We got to be focused, right? And what I have learned is that, the more that people have access to you, the less they value you. And if you can make yourself a little bit scarce, right, they're going to want you. They want to hang out with you. They want to know what you're working on, what you're doing, all that sort of good stuff, right? But we're working at Black Cactus. We're working distraction-free. We got lots of great, exciting updates coming up, y'all. Thank you for being with me here today. Again, this is my first live. My name is Terrence Latimer. I encourage and invite you to join us in the What's Going On at Black Cactus Co-working Facebook community as an opportunity to learn alongside other creatives, professionals, entrepreneurs, this really robust and great community that we've got here in the high desert. So wherever you are, I wish you a wonderful Saturday and hope to hear from you soon. Peace and love.